and screams, it's a plot to drop the IQ. Fighting amongst each other over rumors that don't like you. Prefer us trapped in melancholy with the wood ones, the holly suggestions that obliterate to camouflage the folly. Attempted mental robbery, executed sloppily. The paupers see this mockery and walk the talk with me. Put the hands up to touch the Akasha, cause you know deep down there's something bigger than your wallet.
Sweet eternal balance of all that is good, true, and beautiful, friends. Welcome back to Rogue Soul, where tonight it is the winning report, where we remember that we have been winning since the beginning, have remained winning all along, and will be winning ever until the end of all time and space and things. And until then, we're going to help each other remember the wins by talking about all of the things that occur on the world stage, geopolitically, socially, all of the levels of the things, and remember the wins within all of those things. Remember what to look through consciously using our logical mind, our critical thinking actually, and also what to ask good questions about, what to put on the side burner to see how things develop as we move along. So that is what we will do tonight, as always. Pardon me if, in any way I'm loopy or a little bit different. I'm on my day 2 of the Master Cleanse. It is always a good cleanse, and it's one of my favorites to do. It's a little bit, I think a cleanse is challenging for anybody to some degree, and at the same time, I think this is the easiest one. I think it's the easiest one because it was designed so specifically to keep you satiated with all the minerals and calories that you need in a day, and also really get down to the root cleansing of especially your digestive system, which is, your second brain. It's what affects everything about everything else in your body. So, it's a good place to focus. Those lemonade drinks are pretty delicious for the first, usually like 5 to 7 days. And then you get really, really sick of them, but it's still easy because you're still getting everything you need. You don't feel hungry. You don't feel stressed about it. Sometimes if you're doing like a longer dry fast or a water fast, that can get kind of difficult. It's a mental and emotional game at that point of just not eating at all, or especially if you're not eating or drinking water at all. Those types of fasts can be pretty rough. I do like the sort of green smoothie cleanse. It's also maybe the easiest of them all, actually. If you just do green smoothies, no processed foods, no protein powders or anything for, a week or so, that can be a nice little just reset that's even easier. But otherwise, it's Master Cleanse all the way. So I do like to share when I'm doing one in case it inspires anybody else to do one. I do like to also mention it in case I start getting a little loopy in the show, then you'll know why. It's usually in these first few days where, I can get a little bit of brain fog as things are really clearing out. Usually by day 3 or 4 and beyond, you're just in the pure bliss, high functioning, like a really clear mind, clearer than ever. And that's a nice payoff to get to. But in the meantime, we'll hopefully not have to stumble too much tonight. And so let's get into things. You can go to roguesoul.org for everything I do. All of my books are here. You can schedule one-on-one sessions with me, read the testimony of those who have. Look into doing a ceremony or the retreat coming up this summer. Check out the shop. There's new orgone there, Lotus Votives for you. Super powerful. I love this one. Very fall oriented. Not really, it's good for all times, but it just looks fall colorish. This is Return to Earth, a new votive. I love, of course, Divine Symphony. I love the white howlite. It's such a purifying energy as well. And the white roses are just beautiful. So that's all here. I do have the Heart-Centered Healing course set to just $100 now. That's not actually the price of the course. It says so if you click here. That's a down payment on the next course. So I know some people are still wishing they would have signed up for the current course that's ongoing right now. We have reached the point where you can't actually make up the rest of the course. And so I'm not letting anyone else join at this point. But, next time I offer the course, you can be the sort of first in, make sure you've got your spot, make sure you're ready to go. If you want to put a deposit on that, that's still there in the shop, along with all of the books, custom orgone pillars, and more. Donations if you want to support what I do, the show. If you find value here, you can share value back. That's also all in the shop at Rogue Soul. Everything here for you. Always check out the favorite things tab as well. Lots of good stuff there. It's all stuff that I use and love. And so you can use it and love it too if you want, and support the show by using these links and the Rogue Ways coupon code, which will get you a discount on most of those things. So that's all there on the favorite things tab, everything at roguesoul.org. And of course, rogueways.substack.com is the best place to keep in touch. It's the best place where you would learn about things like the Heart-Centered Healer course or different events that I have going on. And also where you can read free articles like the Master Cleanse and Parasite Flush. I could have sworn I had written previous articles about this, but I can't find them. So I wrote another one now that I'm doing it. And so if you want the quick and dirty version of the Master Cleanse, then you can read about it here. I also link to the actual Master Cleanse book if you want to read through the official book on how to do the Master Cleanse well. I think that's always a good way to do it. And I also share some of the parasite cleanse support that I'm doing while I'm doing this cleanse. I did it before the cleanse. I'm going to be doing it after the cleanse too. It's extra specially potent while you are cleansing to use some of those herbal-based forms of parasite cleansing. So that is a good time to do those. You know me, I also like the ivermectin and fenbendazole. I do those once or twice a year just for funsies. And but when you're doing this natural cleanse, you can use these herbal supports to get even extra. The Master Cleanse is a good parasite detox anyway. But if you want to add to it, I know some of us understand that some of us have a lot of parasites, or maybe all of us do, and some of us are just more aware of it. But that's all there for free. You can also read channeled messages like "Are you a secret mass murderer?" and "A letter from God to you." Actually, that one's free. I was going to say you can read these channeled messages from the spiritual ancestors if you're a paid supporter on Substack. And so lots of free content here, even more if you are a paid supporter. And thank you all who are paid supporters. Definitely appreciate you all. Go become a free or paid subscriber at rogueways.substack.com. So we'll start here with Gavin Newsom, who makes Diwali an official California statewide holiday. Official statewide holiday. I mean, fantastic. More holidays, right? Like, let's have all the holidays we can. Nobody will ever have to work again. We can all just take days off endlessly. I don't know if it's that kind of holiday. I don't know if they get the day off or not, but yeah, state employees the option for a paid day off, and students an excused absence. So they're not like officially shutting things down. They're just saying you can take the paid day off. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't be like, yeah, I celebrate Diwali. I am 152nd Indian. And so I celebrate Diwali. So the Festival of Lights is now officially a holiday in California. I'm all for it. We'll call it a win. Sean Diddy Combs is sentenced to 50 months for prostitution conviction. I'm sure that will get down to about like 3 months or less, and he'll be like playing golf the whole time or who knows what. But 50 months for 2 counts related to prostitution. He said in sentencing, his judge said there's a serious nature of his actions and declared a substantial sentence must be given to send a message to abusers. 50 months. I mean, yeah, I guess like that's 4 years, right? So cool. I don't know. We'll see if it actually pans out, if he has to serve much of that or what will happen, but we'll call it a win in the meantime. It sounds like there are serious offenses even beyond that, but if that's all they can get him on, then at least it's something. New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted over mortgage fraud claims. They were just getting her in any way they can as a pretty clear lawfare, like, coming back at her for going after Trump so hard. All of them are just sort of litigious nothings, just litigating for whatever you can just to like get somebody and see if it'll stick. And so, I feel like it would have been even cooler to not go back at her, despite how corrupt she seems to be, but that, because then you're just sort of sinking to the same level of corruption as she is. So it seems silly. I don't know if I'm going to call that a win or not. I'm sure it's at least funny to a lot of people and whatever. I guess if she did mortgage fraud, then she did mortgage fraud. It's those kinds of things, right? When they like want to get you, they'll find something. There's nobody who doesn't break laws, whether they know it or not, whether they meant to or not. They'll find something. So speaking of lawfare, Comey pleads not guilty in federal court to felony charges. So he was indicted. He is now pled not guilty. And so the trial will go forward, I'm sure. He is eager for the trial, he says, so that he can dispute the charges. We'll see what comes of this. It'd be nice if they weren't charging him just to tangle him up in court, and they did actually have, evidence of his treason, which is what it seems to me like he did, if he did the things that he's said to have done. It'd be nice if that actually stuck, and it'd be interesting to find out what we do to treasonous people these days. So maybe we'll call this a win. So at least a partial win, perhaps. Perhaps also a win. Supreme Court of the United States, the highest level, rejected Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal of criminal conviction. A lot of people were very critical, and they're like, oh, so no Epstein files and no client lists, and now Maxwell's in there like giving them all this dirt, and now she's going to think she's going to get off, and they're going to let her out, and it's just this Trump is evil as everyone else, and everybody black pill. And here we are. She's appealed and she hasn't received it. So are the people who were so sure that that was going to go forward and that was the whole deal and that was the whole plan all along, are they going to own it? Are they going to apologize? Are they going to say, oh, I was wrong about that? I will bet you money that they will not. I will bet you money they will not. Their pride and ego is so caught up in being black-pilled that they can't admit that perhaps something went at least slightly right this time. Unless you're of the mind that she doesn't deserve anything because women, or she was, as a woman, she was just forced into this and like didn't know better or something. I mean, if you want to argue that, sure. Otherwise, this seems fair to me to not let her off, as heinous as her crimes were in sex trafficking and forcing children into sex acts. Should be probably longer than she's getting, but that's that. So we'll call it a win. CBS has acquired Free Press website and appointed Barry Weiss as news editor-in-chief. So this is allegedly, the son of, what's his name, Larry Ellison, the big technocrat, bigwig. His son, David Ellison, has made this purchase. And the people at CBS are like, barf emojiing and really upset because they feel like this is going to push towards pro-Trump narratives and pro-Trump coverage. These people, of course, are saying that they intend to be fair and balanced, which would be a change because it's been very anti-Trump, no matter what Trump does, no matter what he says, and like not in any way fair to anything except the pretty radical leftist point of view so far. And so, this will at least be a shift the other direction. It's just sad that the people who are so brainwashed will take that as some sort of like authoritarian move, or like this kowtowing to Trump, who's this dictator or whatever, instead of seeing that it's actually just shifting back perhaps towards center, or some sort of balance of presenting both sides at least, or at least just facts, and no editorializing would also be insanely good. Obviously all of these news sources are compromised and are propagandistic and skewed, in some way or another, for sure. But this we would see as a move back towards some sort of balance where it has been very radicalized for a time. So interesting, at least. We'll see where it goes. Lots of criticism of Barry Weiss and David Ellison, of course, being sort of technocratic. And I don't actually know anything about Barry Weiss. I was seeing people say that that person seemed to be a leftist person. So it's confusing to me whether those people are just, who knows who's on what take and what point of view they're representing. But that was confusing to me, at least. So if you know more about that, you can let me know about Barry Weiss. I wouldn't trust this news source anyway, but we could call it a win if it's back towards center, at least. Sure. So that's happening. People are pissed. Dominion Voting has been sold to a company run by an ex-GOP election official. So an ex-Republican election official. Interesting. Dominion Voting so far, back in the day was seemingly used to steal elections for the Republicans. Then things seem to go very, very left, ultra woke, very fast. and Dominion seem to be a part of that, at least if they're right. If there's errors, if there's voting manipulations going on, which it seemed like there obviously were, they were headed left. Now maybe it's going to go back to the right. There's a lot of things going against the Democrats if you're just looking at like the surface level of what goes on, right? Instead of like the highest level where they're much more like one party than they are two. If you're looking at the surface level, Democrats really don't stand a chance anymore in any way, in any state, at any level. And so that's really interesting to see everything swing back the other way. So securely. Like they don't really have a chance. They can't steal elections anymore. They don't have the moral high ground. They only have pretty unwell emotionally, mentally people left voting for them. It's not the majority of voters. And a lot of the redistricting has gone also in the direction of supporting the Republicans. So Dominion being sold and owned now by maybe a Republican sort of leaning thing. Again, you would hope it never gets used to cheat, but it's a little too easy to cheat with voting software, as we've seen over and over again, and has been testified to in Congress over 20 years ago. So yeah, we'll assume that they're going to cheat in favor of the Republicans for now. So we'll go back the other direction again. And here we go. So is it a win? No, it's just an interesting shift that we'll pay attention to and see how things go in the future. Trump will classify Antifa a foreign terrorist organization. I talk to people who are just sadly leftist still and very, very just anybody who isn't as radical as them is a right-wing, like nationalistic, racist, compassionless, heartless, horrible person. They're so radical. And then they say things like, "Oh, Antifa, like we're decentralized, we're not organized, we don't have funding. Oh, am I supposed to be getting paid?" Like, well, no, none of us ever got paid for any of our political work, which makes you a useful idiot, though, if you don't think that there's not power and money running through your non-organization. You're a useful idiot. If you're in Antifa, you're a useful idiot. If you're in any group that has been infiltrated by the feds, you're a useful idiot. Hint, all of them have been. There is no political group you could potentially even be in that isn't infiltrated and okay, if not by the feds, it is obviously infiltrated by the feds. But who's actually controlling it and to what ends? Well, in this case, it actually is foreign interests. For Antifa, it is actually foreign interests, as well as most of the communist, socialist, and revolutionary parties in the United States and organizations that are actually organizations. And Antifa is too. It's just because you don't have a card that says I'm an Antifa and here's my chapter and club member or whatever, doesn't mean it's not organized. So I see these people and they're like making these arguments and I'm like, I get that you don't know. That doesn't make it not true. I understand completely because I also once was in political organizations without knowing that I was being a useful idiot. I get it. That doesn't mean it's not happening. It doesn't mean it's not organized. It doesn't mean it's not hostile to our country. And it doesn't mean there's no foreign organization or funding of it. I pointed to the Antifa, the International Anti-Fascist Defense Fund, I think is what it's called. And people are like, "Oh, are you too stupid to know that that's for like helping people who are injured by police and autocratic like raids and like attacks?" And I'm like, are you too stupid to know that there couldn't possibly be the only thing that money is used for? Are you too stupid to know that they hide their billionaire funders and sources? Are you too stupid to know that they're the same billionaire funders and sources that funded BLM and the destruction of cities all across our country? Are you really too stupid to think and understand that there are international, foreign, hostile nations that would do anything they can to infiltrate and destroy and weaken the United States, whether you like the United States or not? Are you too stupid to understand that? And the answer is no, they're not too stupid to understand that, but they won't use their brain because they're so emotionally caught up and there are two things and only two things. They're in that concrete operational mindset. They can't get out of it. And you either are an anti-fascist or you are the enemy. The end. You can only be anti-fascist or not, and the anti-fascists are good, therefore you're bad. It's also part of the drama triangle. It's a classic narcissistic cluster B drama triangle method of controlling your mind if you let them. If you get involved in any of these conversations, and themselves, they can't get out of their own box. They don't even see that they're in it. It's super sad. And so it's sad that for the useful idiots that are in Antifa and there people have shown also there's all of this stuff where it's like, oh, come to the meeting, but only if you're an official member. Like, oh, okay, so you don't have official membership, but you also do only let official members into the meeting. I get why too. You want to keep the feds out. You want to keep we used to do the same thing, but you can't pretend you're just decentralized or unorganized or not official if you have actual meetings and actual members and actual leaders and actual actions that are organized ahead of time and orchestrated and funded. Now, you don't have to get paid for it to be funded. When a pallet of bricks shows up at your protest, that's funding. And maybe you didn't get paid, but you can talk to all the protesters who did, and you can see them get bussed in. That's funding. So the people who can't understand that, I feel bad for. The people who are just against even classifying it as a terrorist organization or going after it at all, despite that it is absolutely organized and funded, and much of that is from hostile foreign funders. That's cool. That's your perspective if you want to have it. But you can't make those other arguments in good faith as an intelligent person who is being rational. So, right, you can still support it. That's fine. You get to do that if you want. Antifa in this case is exactly like BLM in that it is being used by our enemies to, weaken, again, the United States. And whether you like them or not, whether you like being in the United States or think it's a cool country or not, or are for it or against or whatever, it doesn't matter. That's true. And so it makes sense to designate it as a terrorist organization as well. Foreign terrorist organization also makes sense, but people are like, they're not terrorists. They're nothing but terrorists. They literally are absolutely for using violence to force the change they want to see in the world. That is the definition of terrorism. To create terror by force, to create forceful push to control the outcome, especially in a political or social sense. And that's exactly what they're doing. So they fit the definition of terrorist. I know people who are on the alternative side of things don't like that because they think that Antifa is resisting actual, autocracy or fascism or whatever it is. And so they think that it's a good organization. They think that they don't like it when the government, clamps down on what they think might be just like a protest group or something. But that's not what's actually happening. When Antifa organizes and goes and attacks actual agents and burns down police buildings like in Portland and creates areas like Chaz in Seattle and does things like this that are violent and are attacking our actual infrastructure, our state, our support, our police, our whatever, that's terrorism, that's violence. And even if you like it, you can't deny that we have a right to stop that sort of thing. And you might not like that the federal government wants to do it, and that's okay too. But if your state, your mayors, your governors, your cities, your counties won't do it, then you're kind of forcing their hand, right? And that may have been the plan all along, right? That may have been why Antifa got funding and got bigger and got into these skirmishes and these actions. It was planned. It was problem, reaction, solution. It's the Hegelian dialectic for sure. You could absolutely make that argument, but you can't make the argument that the federal government doesn't have the right to then do something about it. Unfortunately or fortunately, it doesn't matter which side of that equation you land on, it's true. So it's a rational decision to make to classify them as a foreign terrorist organization. It's a rational decision to go after them. Here, for example, is an Antifa flyer. On October 11th at 9 p.m., a Portland Antifa blog has announced that they want to organize a laser attack to literally try and crash a federal aircraft flying over the ICE facility. They know it's going to come in at that time. and they are getting as many people as they can to get as many lasers of as many magnitudes of intensity as they can to come and shine it all at the same time. If that's not terrorism, what is? And I know that people already will say, like, well, that's just being put out to make it look like they're. No, you don't know Antifa if you don't think this would be exactly what they would do. It's exactly what they would do. They go LARPing with their fake swords and shields and like do like a lot of people who think they're Antifa are just like thinking that they're going to go protest something. And I have a lot of compassion for people. I get it. I get it because I've done it. But this is like potentially murder. It's sabotage. It's treason. It's terrorism. I mean, there's a lot of things it is that are all really horrible things that I wouldn't be behind unless we actually lived in like a North Korea or a China. And then I might be like, yeah, now we need to take serious measures to defend ourselves. Defend ourselves. These people are on the offensive attacking something because they have pretended and imagined it into a state of fascism and autocracy, and it's not. It's actually less that than Biden's administration was. But they're being so played by the left, and they've so fallen into the victim Olympics and mentality and all the codependency that this is what they see. And so they really think they're being heroic. They really think they're going to like save all these illegal immigrants. For some reason, that's their goal. I don't understand why. I mean, I do understand exactly their arguments. I just like none of them actually make sense, is my point. And so, yeah, laser tag at the plant, so the amount of federal jail time you can get for this, I'm not sure, but we'll see if they actually show up and do it. And again, the sad thing is a bunch of like people who are desperate for attention, who are desperate for community, who just really want to feel like they matter and they've never felt that way before. And they're going to show up and do this and potentially have all of this jail time or all of this retribution against them. And that was not even really, honestly, anything that they had thought through very much, unfortunately. So a lot of useful idiots end up in terrorist organizations like this these days, unfortunately. So yeah, we'll see what happens on October 11th. A Chicago judge cites the South Shore raid in Chicago. The Supreme Court controversy continues and rules against ICE in Chicago. U.S. District Judge Jeffrey Cummings found that ICE arrested 22 people early this year without a warrant and in violation of what's known as the Castanon-Nava Settlement Agreement. It's a shaky precedent to stand on, but it might work. So far, it's working with the activist judges at least. I won't hold up eventually. I'll tell you that much. If it goes beyond this, level to the higher levels of the federal courts, it's not going to stand. But in the meantime, it is definitely attempting to muck up ICE and ICE operations. They had this big raid. People are real mad because in this raid in Chicago recently, this is beyond the 22 people they're citing in this case. This is more recently than that even. They got, I want to say, 50 people. And however many it was, one of them happened to actually be a citizen. So 99.9% of the people they got in this raid were not. Therefore, they're illegal. Therefore, they broke the law. Therefore, they can be detained and also deported. But the one person who wasn't got detained for a few hours and then released. And that has been this like massive sticking point for everyone who's left of, I want to say like, I don't even know anymore. Is there anyone who's just a normal left? Do we have any Democrat leaders who are just actual regular leftists? Anyways, anyone who's, I guess, just left of center, left center is freaking out about it. Like they are freaking out. People who I have seen who are kind of like, again, a little bit left. They're not like super or whatever. All of a sudden, they're like writing in all caps. And they're like, why does nobody care that they're detaining U.S. citizens? Oh my God. Like freaking out. And so I'm like looking into it like, oh my God, is it really actually finally gone to what everyone was scared of for no reason, which was like they're just picking up citizens and like detaining them and like what? No, they got one person in a 50-person raid in Chicago, and then they let them go immediately. And that's what people are freaking out about. They are losing their minds. And I'm like, yeah, sometimes you get detained if you are hanging out with 50 illegal immigrants. What did you expect? So you cannot play this game. People are also like, they're using children against their parents. Dude, a guy left his kid in the car and ran away from ICE. He abandoned his child and ran. And people are saying that ICE did something wrong. I'm like, you're not even going to mention that this dad's a piece of trash? Dude, if it were my kid, no matter if I was illegal or legal or not or whatever, I would not abandon them for anything. That's psycho. And now you're saying, oh, ICE took the kid. What were they supposed to do? Just be like, all right, have a nice life, kid in a car. What? How irrational can you be? ICE could be handing out cookies and like doing like surveys and like planting gardens, and people would still find a way to make them the villain. And people are like, oh, are you pro ICE now? I'm not pro or anti ICE. I'm pro rational, consistent logic. And if somebody has come into my country illegally and ICE is the force that gets them and takes them out of my country, that's okay with me. By every standard and metric, that's okay with me. If you're here illegally, that's a chance you took. I get taking the chance. It's an amazing place to be. You took the chance. There you go. You failed. Now you go back. That doesn't I don't have a problem with that at all. Legal immigrants are the number one supporters of ICE. Legal immigrants hate illegal immigrants. They fought for years. They got through the system. They learned the language. They learned the customs. They memorized the presidents. They know more about your country than you do. They love it more than you do. And they hate illegal immigrants. Just jumped through, trafficked people in drugs most of the time, are now here committing all these crimes, don't have jobs, don't have a way to support themselves, therefore are more likely to commit more crimes. All of that, legal immigrants understand. So one person, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not. I don't care. It's so crazy that you would freak out about this. But, there's people from the beginning, they were like, ICE is going to start grabbing citizens and deporting them. Like, that doesn't even make sense. It wouldn't be a deportation in that case, right? And it would be also insane. And obviously at that point, everybody would be needing to actually care and maybe be joining Antifa. But it's so far from anything that has even remotely been happening. But that doesn't stop all the crazies from saying it. And it's in their mind, and they've repeated it so much they believe it. So all it takes is one person hanging out with 50 illegal immigrants to be detained for a few hours, and everyone will lose their freaking mind. So pretty funny stuff. But ICE, Chicago, this is like getting heated there. And so the Chicago mayor obviously established an ICE-free zones. ICE-free zones. ICE isn't allowed into, city or state, I'm guessing also government buildings. So that includes schools and the like. So what they're really doing is they're saying, hey, illegal immigrants, if ICE is after you, run into a school that houses tons of children. Bring your crime and all of your whatever into this space for children. We've made it an ICE-free zone, so you can hide here. Come into this library where children also are and hide from ICE here. We've made it an ICE-free zone. Is it going to actually work? No, probably not. If they have a federal order, if they've got a federal warrant, if they've got any reason to believe that actual terrorists or Tren de Aragua or any of the drug runners or human traffickers are hiding in a place, they're still probably going to go in. But in the meantime, it's definitely at least deepening the divide and definitely heightening the tension and Chicago Mayor J.B. Pritzker came out and was like, if you're going to come after my people, you're going to have to go through me. And I'm like, who believes this guy? Such a panderer. And yeah, they're still going to come and they're still going to take away legal people. So have fun with your posturing and your pandering. Have fun with your meaningless actions that won't affect anything. And they're still going to come. And we even have seen, the schism between the police departments and ICE, who normally wouldn't have this schism, but it's been implanted there by leftist and Democrat activists, mayors, governors and the like, and city officials. And so we even have this screenshot from the Chicago Police Department where they were told not to respond to ICE's request as ICE was boxed in by cars and attacked by people. And so again, you say, oh, Antifa's not the terrorists, they're not terrorists. When you box federal agents in and begin to attack them, you've become a terrorist. And when the police department is ordered to stand down, then you have to wonder if treason applies to those mayors and those governors who are creating this situation, who are empowering people like Antifa to go in and attack without any issues. Why they're doing this too is not actually even to stop ICE. It's to gain points. It's to pander. Like I said, it's to posture. It's to make it so that the police departments don't get any flack for being violent. And ICE does, even though ICE has done such a crazy, amazing job of not being violent. If you go up into a cop or a federal agent's face for any reason and you don't get beaten or shot, that's amazing. I am not for police violence. I've been beat up by police actually literally for no reason when I wasn't getting in their face and wasn't talking back and didn't deserve it. I understand that happens. And I would never go get up in the face of a cop or a federal agent and start attacking them. I would expect to be attacked back. That at that point, that is self-defense. It is not violence. It is not even attacking in the proper sense of the word. So the reason they're doing this is they're hoping that ICE will defend themselves. And in doing so, they can claim that ICE is violent and aggressive and, escalating the situation and all of that. They will ignore all of the people who actually escalated it. That's what they've done in all the clips that anyone's seen. Like, look at ICE slam this woman to the ground. Well, they didn't show you the 5 minutes before that where the woman was in their face, touching them. And then finally they were like, get off me. And then she fell. They didn't even slam her into the ground, which is what happened to me. I was bruised all along the side of my body. They just pushed her away from them and she fell. And that was this thing. Oh, look how violent. You think that's violent? Again, if you see the lead up to it, that's self-defense. I hate that I'm defending ICE or the police or the feds or anyone, but people have become so irrational that I'm like, man, I wonder what you would feel like if you actually were oppressed. That's crazy. It's crazy how far from oppressed you are. This is treason. I agree. Elon Musk called it treason. I agree with him. It is treason. And again, will we see any response to the treason? We'll find out. In the meantime, we have this super soft ICE actually getting things done anyway, and not even usually defending themselves. Pretty amazing. And so again, in the escalation that's actually coming from the left, from the other side, a Brazilian national has been caught running a multi-state illegal driver's licensing ring, providing more than 600 driver's licenses to illegals. This is not the first that we found of this. I think I've covered this on the show now at least 5 times in the past 9 months. And this is yet another one. So there's how many illegal driver's license rings were there? We haven't gotten to the bottom of that yet, apparently. So all he is getting, though, and again, this is the escalation from the left, 290 days time served in Democrat Massachusetts by a judge appointed by Joe Biden. So when you don't punish people for their crimes, you're telling them this crime's okay to do. Come on, everybody do this crime. Same with when they never prosecute Antifa. They never hold them accountable. They never get jail time. They never get fines. They're in, they're booked, they're out right away again. No matter how violent they are, they gave Andy Ngo head injuries, put him in the hospital, no one's charged. There was a woman the other day that was in a, near an ICE facility while Antifa was being wiling out. They hit her in the face with a pole. There was 5 police officers there. None of them even attempted to get this person and hold them accountable for assaulting a woman, giving her a black eye. And we see this where they're let off also in these illegal driver's license schemes. So you can't say, only the right, only the right, only the right. And then here we are empowering violent people to do violent things and never holding them accountable for it. Yeah, well, you're violent too. If you enable a violent person, then you are violent too. And it's wrong. So that's been happening. Trump administration, therefore, is seriously discussing invoking the Insurrection Act. They could have a while ago. And that they're just discussing it now is interesting to me. People are like, oh, here it is. Here it's coming in. It's going to be like all this crackdown and like, martial law and all this stuff. And I'm like, I'll wait until I see it. If you've waited this long to even talk about the Insurrection Act, you're not going that hard. It could have happened sooner. So like, I don't know. And honestly, it is insurrection at this point. So what else would you do? You can't blame someone for calling insurrection when it's actually happening. They said January 6th was insurrection, but they didn't call insurrection on all of these governors and mayors empowering illegal immigration and illegal gangs to traffic humans and drugs in their cities to commit all of these crimes. So have a standard and keep it, man. But I see, it seems like insurrection counts here. Like it is an insurrection. I also will remind you that despite the media and social media algorithms feeding you all this, the people in those cities outside of Antifa are grateful. In DC, they had all of these people saying, oh my God, I'm so glad it's finally safe. It's finally good. Everything's great. I'm so glad. In Chicago, they're seeing this. And the places they are sending the National Guards, people are like, thank you. But that doesn't get covered. So you don't see it. You can find it if you go looking hard enough. But if you're deep enough in your bubble, it's going to be pretty hard for you to find. But it's there. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but I'm not against it. Trump has formally announced also the first phase of the Hamas-Israel ceasefire agreement has been reached. This, I'm much more sketchy on. I shouldn't say sketchy on. I probably know more about it than most people do because I actually read the 20-point plan, unlike most people, but it's a lot fishier to me. This is something we would be much more suspect about. It's super creepy. The technocratic government piece of the 20-point plan and the installing Trump as head of the peace, whatever they're calling the peace power or so the peace ward. I don't remember. It's like the peace government God, I wish I could remember the name. That's weird. So installing Trump as the head of that and the technocratic government piece of it, pretty weird. But the deal has been reached. The deal is so far holding. So that 20-point plan is going forward. That technocratic government is coming. The rebuilding of Palestine is coming, and people are saying this deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. If you count how many peace plans he has actually orchestrated in his, I think the way he counts it is the 6. I think some people are counting it as 9 because of the previous administration. I haven't actually gone through them all to see like which ones I think are legit or not personally, but let's just say 6 to be fair. Then yeah, he should get the Nobel Peace Prize, shouldn't he? I mean, Obama didn't have any peace anywhere and he got it. He didn't do anything at all and he got it. He literally did nothing and then bombed a bunch of people in Yemen and then they got the Peace Prize. So, I mean, if we're actually counting peace in the Peace Prize part of it, I would say Trump actually wins, even though they're fishy and I'm keeping my eye on this. It still counts, right? Whether we like it or not, it still counts. I mean, I was saying, I don't even know if anything could be done except just nuke the whole area. But here we have like a rebuilding and a 2-state sort of thing going on, and Palestinians and Gazans are going to like have their homeland still. And all of that supposedly is part of it. And like I said, I'll believe it when I see it. But like, that's what they've all agreed to and is so far holding. Super fascinating, weird times, fulfilling some prophecies, and we'll see which prophecies come next. Let's keep in mind 83% of all buildings in Gaza City were already destroyed by Israeli forces. So kind of waited until like the end, right? We're like, well, we finished the job. There's only a few people left. Like, let's give them a peace plan. And Hamas was like, yeah, we're controlled by the CIA, so we'll do what you say. Let's keep in mind too, people are like, well, Israel's not going to stick to it. Israel never does. Well, massive protests in Israel. Massive protests in Israel. Bibi was already hanging on by a thread. He's already like headed to the courts. He's already barely gotten out of being charged with treason and all these things. And massive crowds. And as I've said all along, the people of Israel, while some of them are psychopaths, most don't support the ongoing occupation and devastation of Gaza. So lots of protests there. So I don't know that they will, anything can happen. I don't know that they'll go back on it this time. So I'm pretty hopeful that it'll last. We'll just see how weird it gets there with the technocratic government thing. Pretty weird. Beast system vibes for sure. And so, yeah, people are saying he deserves the Peace Prize. Netanyahu and the Prime Minister of Israeli official account are saying to give him the Peace Prize. I believe it's being announced today or tomorrow, and they've already said it's not Trump. So I don't think it can happen, but you never know. Weirder things have happened. What's weird to see is even the leftist media that has traditionally like nothing can be done well by Trump. Anything Trump does is evil, the anti-Trump to the core. Even they have been saying like, no one else has ever been able to do this peace deal thing. Like, that's interesting. So that is a nice thing for them to say. So that's weird to see any kind of unity. And of course, it would be about this, right? So we'll see what happens. If he becomes actually universally loved, then he actually would fit the description of the Antichrist more so than he ever did before. And that would be interesting too. So keeping our eyes on the fishiness, celebrating the potential wins for the people of Gaza. Discord says 70,000 users may have had their government IDs leaked in a breach. I always say these days when there's breaches like this, that's when the government wanted all the info easy. So they got it, right? Like send some hackers in and get it. So that's Discord. We'll see what comes of that. It just happens with everything these days. So oh, well, there it is. Trump has said, we have 82 vaccines that we give simultaneously. And I'm a vaccine believer, by the way. I believe in a lot of vaccines. But when you give 82 vaccines and a shot to a little baby that hasn't even formed yet, that's a lot of vaccines. Fair, Trump. You're right. That is a lot of vaccines. Did we give 82 at birth? No, I think we give 82 over the course of the 18 years, which is insane. It used to be like 12 or something. When I was young, it was like 12 to 20 years. Like it's already a lot. And now it's 82. So it's not at birth, but at birth, there is a staggering amount of vaccines given right on the first day, just right out at the vag hole. There you go. Just shoot up the baby with all this poison. So crazy. It is crazy. I don't think it's 82, but I like that he's bringing attention that we give way too many vaccines. All sorts of things happen on the vaccine front with this administration, all of them good so far. And even the Pfizer thing, interesting. People are saying that he gave $70 billion to Pfizer to continue to, use mRNA or study mRNA or whatnot. Some people who are the hardcore Trumpers are looking at that a different way. So I think I covered that last week, but I wanted to give a shout out to this interesting fellow who's hardcore. I wouldn't even call him Q. I'd say he's pre-Q even. He was pro like Trump is everything, I think, before like even Q or any of that was like really big. So interesting dude, artist. And I'm not saying I'd agree with everything he says. I'm saying he's interesting. I like to find things that don't agree with my default biased assumption, right? So he says Trump did not give $70 billion to Pfizer. Trump took $70 billion from Pfizer, making them invested into the economy. Remember, Trump already put Pfizer into a box about the false data they presented. Adjuvants are being removed. RFK is just the beginning, the exposure of autism, and expect a lot more to come from this. Maybe. It's totally possible. I've seen weirder things happen with this. whole Trump thing. So, it's worth thinking about. In the other hand, it looks a lot like we just gave Pfizer a $70 billion check to continue to develop biological weapons. So, we'll see which way it actually goes in the future, but who knows? The Spanish Constitutional Court has declared corona measures unconstitutional, and therefore they are annulling 92,000 fines imposed during COVID. I'll say, I told you so. I'll say that way, way, way back from the very beginning of anybody saying that there might be fines or jail time, I said, then get them and never pay them and never show up and never do anything, because all of that is unconstitutional and illegal. Even in Spain, it's unconstitutional, illegal, and our constitution's stronger. So we've seen nothing but wins for the people who didn't give in and held out. We've seen nothing but wins for people being reinstated or being paid back pay or being paid even more than that for, falsely losing their job and all of this stuff. We've seen nothing but that. And now Spain has annulled the 93,000 fines it had left from COVID. So yeah, it took years, but all you have to do is not pay it. That's what I said then, and here I am being vindicated. So congratulations to those of you who already knew that, or who listened to me, or someone else who was on the same page, because that's all we've seen since. So good job. And a big win. Cold wave hits energy transition. German electricity prices suddenly explode. Oh, I also called that years ago. How? How did I know? Well, not even being a scientist or an economist or an energy expert, I said, hey, if you destroy all of those nuclear energy plants you have that produce the cleanest energy we've ever seen on planet Earth, then you're not going to have enough energy. And also you'll be burning fossil fuels, because your solar and green technologies don't work when it's really cold. Oh, what a surprise that that's exactly what's happening. Any intelligent person would have known. That's all I'll say about that. Spain's grid operators warned of new voltage swings and urges measures to avoid a blackout. Again, they are not energy stable because they have been focused on green energy. And also we are in a geomagnetic excursion in which energy is the shakiest it will ever be. And it may get much, much worse before it gets better. By 2033, we'll be out of it. But until then, we might see devastating electrical grid down types of situations because of the weak magnetosphere and the energy coming in from solar activity and beyond. And so Spain is warning the worst is yet to come, potentially, and they're not wrong. Is it a win? No, but it's true. It's true. A deadly Palisades fire was allegedly set maliciously by a Florida firebug, Jonathan Rinderknecht. Allegedly, he is supposedly going to be charged for the entire thing. Well, we saw many different arsonists walking around trying to start fires before, during, and after that time in that exact area. So why aren't they being charged? I don't know. Why this guy? I don't know. But it is, again, yet more vindication that all of these fires are always started by arsonists. Now, are they also then inflamed by direct energy weapons? In many cases, yes. In this case, I'm not sure. I didn't actually follow the direct energy weapon, line of thinking through this enough to say for sure or not. Definitely saw it in Hawaii. Definitely saw it in the Santa Rosa fires in California years ago, and all sorts of other fires. I'm not sure if this one or not, but we also saw obviously that this was planned to happen, or the level of malfeasance that had to happen for this to take place is insane. Because we didn't have enough water. We didn't have water in the reservoirs. The what are the water shooting things? The hydrants weren't even on. They couldn't even turn them on. There was no water going to them when they did get them on. All sorts. They didn't do the forest management and bush management for decades before this, which everyone who was laid off from that job and no longer doing that job said is going to cause massive, horrible fires. They planned this for decades. They finally pulled it off. This guy may or may not have been a part of it, for sure, but he's by no means the main culprit, right? So much higher levels for much more years than he was around were planning this. But people like this are, again, useful idiots. There's a lot of, genuinely unwell people who may have voice to skull technology or other things promoting them to go do this. There's also just the people who are the climate change freaks who are like, we've got to burn this down so that people know that climate change might burn it down eventually. It doesn't make sense, but to them it makes sense. And that's happened how many times we've seen these people in court saying, yep, I burned it down to draw attention to climate change. Did it work? No, but it burned things down in the meantime. So is he one of them? Is he just a sort of pyromaniac? I don't know. But are they going to pin it all on him? That'd be crazy and stupid. And he should be held responsible if he started fire knowingly, right? Like, for sure, you should get some of the harshest penalties. And also the people who are actually responsible should be held responsible. So hopefully that happens. In the meantime, vindication has occurred. Speaking of fires in California, Chevron's Los Angeles refinery had a large fire erupt in their jet fuel unit on October 3rd. It seems to have put them out of commission. Is this another case of sabotage that we've been seeing for 5 years or more in this non-linear fifth generational war? Probably. But who can say at this point? Will investigations even happen? Who knows? Is Chevron even in on it? I don't know. But we've seen a lot of refineries, a lot of our infrastructure burn down or have planes crash into them in the past 5 years. Very interesting stuff. So we'll add this to the list of potential sabotage and move on. Trump went on a rant against the insanity of transitioning children right in front of Canada's Prime Minister, Mark Carney. Remember, Charlie Robinson calls Mark Carney one of the most evil men in the world. He's got the receipts and a book to prove it. You can read, I don't know which one, but I think The Octopus of Global Control is most likely the one that outlines Mark Carney's evils. But in the meantime, Mark Carney has been elected the Prime Minister of Canada, or is he elected or assigned? I forget. They do wonky things up there sometimes. Anyways, evil guy. He has a transsexual child. Oh, what a surprise. All of the woke leftist evils people in the world have trans kids. All of them. All the Hollywood woke and all of the banker elite woke. They've all got their trans children. So right in front of him, while talking about tariffs and making a tariff deal, just belittles the man by going on and on about the evils of transing children. So cool. I love it. It doesn't matter if all the other things we can call evil or whatever, if it happens or it doesn't happen, we'll see. But this is the stuff that I love about Trump. I love it. It's worth it. Thank you. Thank you for the win, Trump. FBI confirms severing ties with the Southern Poverty Law Center. Also a win. Southern Poverty Law Center is perhaps also a terrorist organization, at the very least, wildly leftist and deeply biased, and has caused great harm. Quote, they've abandoned civil rights work and turned into a partisan smear machine, criticizing their hate map as defamatory and inciting violence. Definitely true. And so I love that the FBI has been disconnected from them, as it should be. Like, what's even happening there? So we'll call that a win as well. Also in woke news, Sarah Mullally has appointed as first female Archbishop of Canterbury. You can't actually be a bishop or archbishop and be female, but you can if everyone's woke enough to just let it slide. So again, why don't you start your own religion where you do have female bishops? Just spell Catholic backwards. That's your new religion. It's everything Catholicism is, except we have females. Cool. Then everyone knows what it is and they can join it. But all the people who are Catholic and didn't have female bishops and archbishops and leaders are just stuck now with this church that just supports this. So I don't know. Yeah. Or is it to the Church of England? Maybe it's the Church of England, which also didn't have female, either way, whatever. It's, again, if you like it, cool. I don't get why you have to destroy a religion, why you can't just make your own. But that's what leftists do. They destroy things. So I guess it's a win for them. 007 fans blast the woke Amazon for removing guns and sexy Bond girls from the posters. Amazon has acquired the Bond legacy, and they own the rights, I guess, now. And so they changed all the movie posters, removed the women, and removed the guns, leading myself to ask, do you even know what James Bond is? I would say 100% of Bond is guns and women. That is what James Bond, that's what the whole property is. That's why people like it. That's what it is. The whole masculine Bond character is only masculine because he's a womanizer and he loves guns. I think that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. I don't know, man. I don't understand it. So I'm pretty sure that's backfiring against them. Literally, the only people who like Bond like women and guns. And womanizer, I use that loosely. Like, I mean, I don't know if he ever like really treats them badly. I don't watch it enough to really analyze it. Is it just that he gets women? I mean, that's not really womanizing. So, being into women who are sexy and liking guns, that's Bond. And what else would it be? Yeah. You got to destroy everything again. That's what woke does, destroys everything. So a non-woke over in Japan, their new prime minister candidate, Sanai Takichi, who will hopefully win, says illegal immigrants and fake refugees must be sent out if Japan is to stay Japan. And she's not wrong. It is absolutely true. Japan is our most sensitive society left. We need to preserve it and all its beauty. And hopefully they get to do that. It's a big WEF agenda, and they're big on the WEF in Japan, unfortunately. And so it's going to be a close call whether or not Japan gets to retain its actual Japanese character, or whether it's going to be weaponized immigration like the rest of the world has been under the WEF Agenda 2030. And so Godspeed, pray for Japan that they get more leaders like Sanai Takaichi to lead them out of the clutches of the WEF and its woke agenda. Big win. Lithuania airport was shut down over cigarette smuggling balloons. Man, I guess I don't know how bad it is in Lithuania if you've got to smuggle cigarettes by air balloon. Like, can't you just give them some cigarettes? Like, what's happening over here? They had to shut down the airport because of smuggling. And like, man, some hardcore people are calculating this. They're like, okay, this is how many cartons we're going to wrap up. So here's the weight. So here's the balloon we've got to attach it to, and the wind speed and direction is this. Okay, release it. Now it's going to land in the general proximity of the place where we want the cigarettes to get to. Like, wow. Those are the ends you have to go to. Why? I don't know. They just talk about shutting down the airport. They don't talk about why there were 11 balloons carrying cigarettes. Oh, poor Lithuania. I hope you get your cigarettes soon. You don't have to shut down airports for it. Oh, in our tech news of the night, Deloitte, I'm going to say, is a company that's going to pay money back to the Australian government after using AI and miscalculating some funds. So they're going to refund $444,000 after errors were found in the report they made to the Australian government. So the Australian government paid them $440,000 and then had a report full of errors because of AI. Dude, AI is notorious. You've got to check it. I've said this from the beginning. The report had hallucinations where AI misinterpreted data. Despite the issues, I wonder if AI is actually so compassionate that it's doing these errors on purpose so that we stop relying on it. It's like, no, you need to keep your ability to think. I'm going to just misreport things as often as possible. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So don't rely on AI. It goes to show you they have to pay all that money back now and still had to do the work, and it was worth nothing. Jeff Bezos plans to build an AI data center in space. Man, he's like more and more like the Austin Powers. What is he? Dr. Evil. He looks like him. You know, he's sending freaking space lasers, doing AI data centers in space to harness the power of solar energy. Like, you're crazy. There's like, the sun is amazingly volatile. It's just going to throw out just massive energy bursts like all the time. You're going to both receive energy from the sun, but also somehow protect your precious data center from those massive electromagnetic pulses that come out from the sun constantly. Like, what? Crazy. You're crazy. These people are crazy. I mean, if it works, I guess great for you, but like, what? The amount of engineering you have to do and the resources and the materials just for the potential. I mean, all you have to do is make micronuclear reactors, dude. Just keep it up, like, calm down. Give us some micronuclear reactors. Well, we're good. It is a big problem of how to power these AI data centers. It is a big problem that we have more and more data centers and they have to power them more and more. I don't know why AOC's face is here, but it is. And we have to come up with more and more energy. So like, we have to go nuclear. We have to, or better. There's better energy out there too, but they haven't let that bloom yet. So like, we've got nuclear for now. We've got to go there. I don't even care about the AI part, actually. You take AI out of it, take data centers out of it. We could shut down the entire internet. I would think that we'd have a happier world and we would still need energy solutions. So I'm all for the nuclear. And if that also gets us our AI happy spot, then great. That's great. If that's what humans want, that's what they get. So whatever, we'll see if he gets his space lasers, Dr. Evil there. But China is training robot dogs for lunar missions. They're training robot dogs in underground caves and in harsh terrain so that their robot dogs can go walk around the moon. And more power to them. Let's get more eyes on the moon. Let's see if you can actually land on it or if it's plasma. Let's see if there's alien bases there. Let's see on the dark side if there's all the, secret space spies and all of their, all of their infrastructure. Like, let's go. Let's figure it out. Let's get the robot dogs to the moons. It's the one thing China's doing that I'll get behind just for funsies. Call it a win. Why not? The U.S. has unveiled a draft design for the $1 Trump coin to mark the 250th independence celebrations in 2026. Man, we're coming up quick on 250 years. So fight, fight, fight is on it. I like it. Let's do it. 1776 to 2026. And we've got his famous hair, and his famous profile here. It's a great coin. We'll get tons of coins. Call it a win. Why not? This is so great. I love this. Do we want to do this or this last? Okay, we'll do that last. First, before the thing that's super great. This guy's great. This is John Paul Jones. No, that's the park he's at. It's Curtis Sliwa for mayor. Curtis Sliwa for mayor. This is the guy who's running in New York. He is just, you're not going to be able to hear it, but he is just this hardcore patriot. He's a merchant marine. No, his father was a merchant marine. I think he's a marine, maybe a merchant marine. I don't know. It talks about his family's, fights, wars, different things, and how they got through all of these dire situations for America when the Brits were crushing us in the Revolutionary War, and all of this, and how we need to not ever surrender and fight because we've got the passion, we've got the patriotism, we've got the light. I just love his ad. He's really adorable. I know maybe that's not the energy he was going for, but I love, especially when our elders stand up for things that they actually deeply believe in and are rational and saying, the way that lots of boomers are going out and they're just like freaking out about Trump and they don't have rational things to say about it. That's not really the way I want my elders to be. I want my elders to be strong, firm of mind, have actual thoughts, not need to become aggressive or emotional about it in order to communicate them. That's what I like. That's what I like about this guy. I hope he wins for mayor of New York. So he's running. If you're in New York, look up Curtis Sliwa. And finally, we'll end here. My favorite thing I have ever seen, perhaps. This is a person, or a study, I should say, in which doctors put very simple puppet shows in front of infants, 6 months old, 8 months old. And these infants, 4 months old, are watching this puppet show. So one like this one, a puppet, a little pink ball struggles up a hill, and then a yellow triangle helps push him up the hill, and he gets to the top and everybody celebrates, and then a blue square comes and pushes him back down. So very simple puppet shows. And then the baby is shown all of these characters on a plate in front of them. They can see the blue square, the villain. They can see the yellow triangle, the helper, and they can see the pink ball, the protagonist of the story. 80% of 6 to 10th month olds reached for the yellow triangle. 80% of 6 to 10 month olds knew what the good guy was in the play and wanted the good guy. 80% of 6 to 10 month olds prefer the helper to the bully, and they understand the basics of morality. This is a beautiful study because people have assumed that morality is something humans invent and teach to each other and force. I'm actually reading a C.S. Lewis book about this right now, that morality actually exists beyond us, whether we like it or not, that it is inherent in the universe that we understand morality and that we know what is right and wrong and we know what we should choose. But we don't always do it. But babies come out fresh and they're like, yeah, I choose right. 80% of them do. And they showed them other simple puppet, plays, if you want to say that. And they did the same thing. They chose the thing that was the helper. In this case, they were playing ball or playing catch, and one of the puppets chose to play unfairly, hogged the ball, stole it, and ran away instead of continuing to play and pass it back and forth. And so the babies chose again the good guy, the one who played fair. They understand inherently what fairness is. They don't even have language yet. It's really beautiful. So I love this. It's pretty stunning. And it reinforces the idea that morality actually exists objectively. It isn't something churches and religions made up. And this is an actual atheist argument. It's a solipsist argument. It's an argument for people who are against religions for some reason. And they're saying, we can change our morality if we choose to. And this would indicate that, no, we actually all have an inherent sense of what is fair and right and wrong. We just don't always choose it. But when we're babies, especially, we had it. And we still have it now. If you choose, you can have your morality forever. If you choose to do things like actually identify your bias, your emotional and your mental traumas, the things that you are not being rational about. If you choose to do some self-analysis and some digging, then you can actually determine for yourself where it is you've gone astray. And you can get back to the sense of morality that is actually there, that is actually right or wrong. I'll tell you this, a simple moral that all of us have is that we're allowed to have boundaries. We're allowed to have a home, for example, that not anyone can just come into. We're allowed to have a property boundary. Not anyone can come just dump things on our yard. We all have that morality, but then there are people who pretend like we can't have a border for our country. And those same people will then have an area in Seattle called Chaz, and instantly they will set up a perimeter, not allow people in or out unless they say so, and also have a security team. But they will also tell you can't have a border to your country and that anyone should be able to come here and that they should not ever, no one is illegal. It's immoral not to just let anyone come across and do anything they want here. Those people are wrong. They're just wrong. They're wrong and they know it. They're wrong. And if you get them to the point where they will admit that they do want boundaries and they do want rules and they do want, property and they do want all those things, then they will either have to admit that you are in fact allowed to have a border and protect it, or they will call you names, break down, and run away. And that's what happens vast majority of the time that I talk to these people. And it's unfortunate. I hope they can see it again too, because all of us have blind spots and all of us have places where we've fallen apart in our morality for various reasons. But a winner comes through with the logic, with the objectivity, with the putting aside of their own personal emotions about a thing in order to figure out what is actually true and what is actually fair and what is actually right. And that's what we aim to do every week here. So thank you for being here and being you. And until next time, travel well, aim for balance, and always look inside first.
to them screens, it's a plot to drop the IQ. Fighting amongst each other over rumors that don't like you. Prefer us trapped in melancholy with the wood ones, the holly suggestions that obliterate to camouflage the folly. Attempted mental robbery, executed sloppily. The pomp proceed is mockery and walk the talk with me. Put the hands up to touch the Akasha, cause you